And thank you very much to my friend Pearlfish for telling me that I had my audio switched off to that entire introduction. How professional. I'll give it a few seconds and make sure that I can be heard now. Oh, and thank you very much to you as well, Vela. I changed the audio source on my laptop before I started this stream and I obviously broke it. Yep, definitely that looks like we're a go now. So I'll repeat what I just said because apparently you couldn't hear me anyway. Basically what I was saying is that this is the first stream that I've done in a while. I used to run a channel before, but it got nothing but trouble. You may remember some of the problems of old YouTube when copyright strike controls were a big thing. Yeah, I used to run a channel just doing stuff like this, and it just became more of a hassle than it was worth, so I gave up. But, just to repeat what I just said, this is a Sega GameGear that I managed to pick up on eBay in spares repairs. May actually have won a bit of a watch on this one because it was advertised as completely non-functional, but, and I think the batteries here might be dead. Or it could be a capacitor issue. But I had this one running because I cleaned up the battery compartments, working fine, the screen's in good condition when it works, but it's really dark, and that's a typical symptom of bad capacitors within these lovely units. Again, because of the fact this is the first stream that I've done on this channel, I've decided that I'll give myself a fighting chance. Normally I would just say either something that's been broken or spares repairs, but I've got a bit of background working with these, and this is number 4 that I've got in the area. So I'm going to start here by just quite simply stripping it. Now, you have to be very careful stripping these because they're not made of a single board, they're made of 3 boards. The one thing to remember is that there's a security screw right here. You need a game bit driver to get into one of these. Let's have a look. Nope, I need the driver one. This one has to jam itself into a stupid place. I'm going to bet that nobody has been in this before. This will be a first repair attempt on it, and whoever's had it before is obviously they went to try and switch it on one day, got no response out of it, and just eBay spares repair. They're selling fairly regularly at this point, so why not attempt to get some money back? And it was especially prevalent during the lockdowns because people were locked in, they had plenty of time. Why not go clean the attic, clean the loft? So I'm going to be using my magnetic mask just to try and stop the losing screws because I'm notorious for it. Now, with these units, they're fairly typical. You need a Phillips head screw just to get the 6 radial perimeter screws out. Really quite simple and easy to get into. Go with that one. You need to put a bit of pressure onto the screw and you'll hear it crack because they've been in there for 30 years. The plastic at one point was pliable. It's been pressing against the screw head for, again, 30 odd years. So be firm but gentle. Don't wrench it out or else you might break the internal plastic, but you obviously still need to get it out. Again, there's that telltale crack as per usual. This again, relatively good sign. It means that I'm the first person that's been in here. Because if somebody else had been in here, you wouldn't hear that crack. And try a slightly bigger screwdriver head. Yeah, Pearlfish, you're absolutely right. A lot of people just assume that once these are dead, they're dead. Don't get me wrong, there is an aspect where they can be unrecoverable, just purely and simply because they've been sitting, the alkaline inside of the capacitors is corrosive. So if you leave them sitting for too long, it can potentially eat the copper. This one really doesn't want to come out. Enjoys it brand new. Right. Have a look, see what screwdrivers we've got that will possibly fit. Yep, that one do. Maybe not. The screw head's turning. The screwdriver head handle's turning, and the screw isn't. Again, this is just basic repairs. I don't use excessively expensive tools. A lot of this stuff you'll pick up in pound shops, factory shops, stuff like that. There we go, telltale crack. This obviously is going to be the easy part, doing any of these repairs. Now, we wouldn't worry too much about keeping the screws separate. It's not like they're separately sized. The only one that you really need to worry about is the security bit that goes in the centre of the cartridge slot. The only reason you need to worry about that is if you've done any form of screen modification, don't put that screw back in. If you have an LCD screen and you try to put that screw back in, what's guaranteed to happen is you will put the screen through the screw and break your brand new LCD screen. So, more heartache than it's worth. I've seen it done. I mean, if you follow YouTuber My Mate Vince as an example, the first LCD screen he did, he accidentally screwed through it because he just forgot. It's really easy to do. And last screw. Nice to know that I work a screwdriver like a drunk monkey, because I was involved in a bad accident last year. Left me with permanent damage to my right wrist, so sometimes I have a bit of trouble turning it. Ooh, Viola's possibly got some retro stuff herself. Right. For these, once the screws are out, be very careful how you open it. It's really quite simple. You just have to bookend it, because as you'll see when it gets opened, there's connecting cables. Don't just wrench it. You've got the audio board here, which may be backwards to you because just how the camera is responding. I must have knocked my camera. But anyway, yeah, you've got audio board and your power board. Just make sure you don't pry these up too hard. Just disconnect them. These are JSLs. And one more for speaker. So if you give me 2 seconds, I'll just jump out. There we go. Right. I've got the microscope set up here just because of the fact I can possibly show you how bad these capacitors can get, but just a sight inspection, these look wet, but they don't look bad. They'll be massively out of spec, but they won't be eating the board, which is actually quite a good thing. Take this opportunity to put the iron on and clear up some space on the desk. Am I still muted, Vila? It's showing as outputting on my end, but I'll continue and I'll keep half an eye in the chat. Anyway, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove the main board. Again, simple enough. Just if you see a screw, take it out. Thank you, Vila. Now, again, I'm all but positive that these are all the same size for the internal screws. You can tell them apart really quite simply. The case screw is black. The internal screws are silver solid colour. Don't know how well that's going to show up in the camera. It's just a basic camera that I found. You don't need to worry about the two screws either side of the cartridge slot, if I remember correctly, because they are holding the screen in place. See, I'll just double check that because it's been a while since I've done one of these. Nope, still getting held in by something. Wait a minute, there's screws either side of the top of the screen. You have to just worry about getting them out. Nope, it's the big ones. I always forget about the big screws either side of the cartridge slot. They're there just to stop the slot from flexing. So they are connected directly into the front shell. There we go, and we're free. I try not to lose the gasket inside, which has stuck itself in this case. But there we go, we're free. Now at this point, I'm going to find one of my microfiber cloths and I'm going to put that down just so that if there's any contaminants in the desk, which there more than likely are, they won't damage the screen, hopefully. That happened, I have to apologise. Right, so let's have a look on the microscope. Looks like this is a 20 model, which I need to know for when it comes to actually doing the repair work. Just quite simply because different capacitors need to go in different spaces. I've used one of the, or I've bought one of the Retro 6s kits because they are the best. They are using surface mount capacitors instead of the old electrolytics. They don't leak. There's no chance of this happening again. So let's have a look. See if I can find a capacitor. Yep, there's one there. You can tell positive, negative. Another advantage to the Retro 6 kit is the capacitors they use are non-polarized, so there's no risk. If you accidentally put one in backwards, something won't go back. As you can see, it's not actually that bad. It's definitely leaked and it's definitely crusty, but it's going to be easy to clean. Which is actually quite hard. I've got to say the needs. That's pretty much the end of what I need the microscope for, so I'll just transition back to the microscope. People argue about how to remove these capacitors. I find the best option brute force. Sounds horrific. You would expect these to be delicate. They are delicate. You have to be careful doing this. But you still have set needle nose pliers. I've got these dolphin nose because they're small enough, and they're glued down, so you have to break the glue. And then once the glue is broken, you can stand it up. Just press the legs until they break. Simple. That is the quickest and cleanest way to get rid of these capacitors. In fact, I will use that as an example because I will switch back to the microscope. Just to show, the legs will still be attached. There, you see them right there. The legs are obviously still attached to the solder points, but there's no damage. But mechanical force. Yeah, Pearlfish, you're right. It's sort of overkill to secure these down with glue. It's a decision I've never truly understood, if I'm honest. Again, I mean, it's really quite simple. Anything you see an electrolytic capacitor that's held in one of these black cases, pull it up off the board gently, mechanical stress until it breaks. Just put this to this camera here so you can see roughly what they look like. They may be mirrored, but there are, in this unit that I'm working on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, looks like 8 capacitors total, and they all need to be cleaned up and replaced. So, yeah, I mean, this one's actually responding really quite well, and I think it might be because I work in my loft and it's cold up here, so that might be helping with glue. Microscope out the way again because I'm not using it at this point. I mean, this is very much a belts and braces approach to make sure that obviously you don't want the capacitor to come up and touch something that they shouldn't, but in saying that, if they do, it really isn't the end of the world because normally with the older recap kits you would get for these, it was like for like. you were going to be changing electrolytics to electrolytics. And as long as you could fold them to get into the case properly, it wasn't an issue. Now at this point, I'm literally just going to have to break all the capacitors off. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to sing us a song. I hope I'm not roboting. They all need to be cleaned up, like. Maybe a little bit there. Yeah, I think I'm getting a wee bit of roboting, but that's probably because how far away I am from my router, so it'll probably solve itself in a minute or two, hopefully. At one point I'm going to have to be very careful here, as I don't want to slip and accidentally break this wire, because that's the back wire, or the backlight wire there. I don't want to break that. The screen in this unit looks like it's fine. I'm not going to replace it if I don't have to. At this point, I actually have another board that may appear in a future video which has screen problems. I think they can be repaired with a new screen. It's the only way around about it. So I'm going to see about getting one of the new 6 screens. The plastic shield broke off for this one. It's considerably worse when scope on screen. Well, that's fine. I'll know you the scope because I don't particularly need it. Right, and I think I've got all the capacitors out. I will admit, I'm getting a bit older these days. I've got the magnification on the go. The good old days when I could do this without helping the eyesight. Yeah. Now that I'm looking at this under magnification, I don't know how well it's going to show up in the camera here, but plenty of goo underneath where the capacitors have been pulled. That's obvious leakage. Again, really not the end of the world. Cotton bud. Some isopropyl alcohol. And I know I've got Vila in the chat, and half of the stuff that I use for stuff like this, she may recognise from using makeup. There we go. Right, let's get rid of some goo. Oh, good thing I actually looked because I have missed one. Now what you might find is you might end up with plastic from the back of the container for the capacitor still stuck to the board. Depends on how much it bothers you. I'm of the mind that it's not going to cause a problem, so you don't have to remove it. But if it bothers you, you can actually use a hot solder iron and just remove it that way. I mean, that one there is an example. That is going to cause a problem if I don't get the pads cleared. Because obviously I need to put the capacitor onto the pads are. But the rest of them should be just a quick, simple clean. These higher voltage ones that look like they're in for the lighting circuit are pretty bad, but no damage. And I'll be perfectly honest, I mean, this looks like one of the cleaner game gear that I've worked on. I've got one somewhere that the pads were actually being eaten away by the electrolyte inside the capacitors because it had leaked for so long. Viola's asking me a question because I was pestering her about bleach. It's in a box beside me and I can't get to it right now, but I have a Sega GameGear and it's badly, well, it's not the worst yellow I've ever seen, but it's pretty yellow. And I was considering retrobrating it, but it's too cold. One of the big things that was an argument online was whether it be heat or whether it be time or any mixture of the two that were responsible for retrobrating. And it's obviously a chemical reaction. Is the chemical reaction going to be the same if it's cold? Is it going to be doable when it's hot? But Viola was nice enough to inform me that it's actually best to have it hot, and it's more heat than light as the catalyst. This one is really quite badly corroded in the top, so I'm going to add just some fresh solder. That should allow me just to get anybody's ever worked on these will recognise the smell, and it's fish. The internals of the capacitors, they smell like fish when you warm them, and be ready for that smell. It's not a bad thing, it just means you're getting to it right in time. Obviously don't have your soldering iron too hot or else you could corrode the glue. It actually holds the pads down. Yep, they are very smelly. I think I'm losing too much heat in the tip, so I'm going to have to turn my temperature up.